Initially, it will be uncomfortable, okay? Learning to talk to people, if you're not good at it, is going to be uncomfortable. It's the same thing with any skill, okay? If you want to pick up and learn a new instrument, initially it's going to be uncomfortable because you will have to humble yourself and you will have to start as a beginner. You will have to embrace the beginner's mindset, okay? Humility is a great virtue that you can apply to any learning situation, including learning to socialize, okay? Because like I said earlier, it is a skill, and the more you practice, the better you will become at it, okay? Now, a great book for you if you want to, learn to connect more deeply and easily with people is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's a fantastic book that lays out some very basic foundations on how you can become a more interesting person, how you can hold more interesting conversations with people. And spoiler alert, it has way more to do with paying attention to the other person than to pay attention to yourself, rather than to selfishly be focused on your own needs, okay? If you learn to view things from the other person's perspective, that will automatically bump up your value in the conversation by like at least 3 to 5 points, okay? When you truly understand the need of the other person, you will become so much more interesting, okay? Be interested in order to be interesting. So learn to be interested in others, genuinely interested, okay? Learn to be curious. Learn to see small subtleties in the things that they mention and pick up on that and show your excitement, okay? People want to feel seen. People want to feel like you are paying attention to what they're talking about, okay? And if you're in your head waiting for your next line, okay, you're not really having a conversation with anyone, okay? What a lot of people do is they talk with someone and they basically just are waiting until they finish talking about what they wanted to say so they can say their own stuff, okay? That is how most people have a conversation. And this is one of the worst ways to actually have an interesting conversation, okay? Because you're not paying attention to what the other person is saying and you're just literally waiting until they're finished talking so you can say what you wanted to say. Try to flip that around. Try to instead be very mindful and really tune into what the other person is saying and then pick up on that. And you can change the topic if you want to, but at least acknowledge what the other person is saying, okay? So start small, okay? Start small. You can say a few words to the cashier at the grocery store, okay? Learn to become comfortable with some kind of small talk, because most people, they will need an initial interaction based on small talk, because not many people are comfortable with going super deep immediately. They need to establish first a sense of security and they need to know that you are a sociable person, okay, before people want to open up to you. So practice that. Practice a little bit of small talk, okay? It will go a long way in you connecting to other people. They will appreciate that, okay? So just pick a few situations that are slightly challenging, okay? Slightly challenging situations, like the grocery store, like, I don't know, being in the city and asking someone for directions, whatever it may be. Start small and build it up from there. And a great way to, after you passed the phase of small talk, is by asking interesting questions that are related to the person, okay? Interesting questions that allow the other person to elicit some of their values or goals or dreams or things that they are currently working on. So for example, a question that I really like to ask is, what are you currently working on? What do you like to do in your free time? How do you like to relate to your friends? Whatever it may be, okay? Open questions, open-ended questions. What, how, where, why, okay? Don't just ask closed questions that only have a yes or no answer, because that will keep the conversation more closed and short. So ask questions that start with a how, a why, and try to come up with ways to rephrase your own questions, like, do you work? Do you work here? Okay? Instead of asking that, where do you work somewhere around here, for example? Or how did you end up working here? Something like that, all right? So try to reframe closed yes and no questions. So if you ask a question and there is a yes and no answer to it, that's the only possibility, try to reformulate the question as a question where people can have more room to answer. And that way you can have a whole conversation by simply asking one or two questions and then nodding and paying attention and being a good listener. And the person you're talking to will feel as if you were the best conversationalist ever, okay? So just, educate yourself on how to hold an interesting conversation. Learn to become a good listener, okay? But remember that becoming a good conversationalist is a skill that requires practice. So start small, practice regularly, get out of your goddamn house, okay? Don't stay inside all day. Read a few books. Make sure that that you actually live an interesting life and that you have something to talk about. And learn to genuinely be interested in other people. Learn to understand things from their perspective. And you will not recognize yourself in even just a few months from now, okay? So I hope that helps. I want to thank you for your attention. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you in the next video.